Hey guys, welcome back. Part number 2 of my 48 scale I Love Kit F-22 Raptor build. In this part, we're going to do the main assembly and get ready for paint in part number 3. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, welcome back to part number 2, and this is how we left it off basically. So we put the cockpit tub, which is looking really great. Really like the way dry brushing just picks out some of that detail, and you can see that's obviously straight out the box. So as I mentioned in part number 1, using the Wolfpack seat, haven't received it yet, so we'll just slot that in when the time comes, no problem at all. So how I put this in, a couple of small bits of super glue on the inside, just with a toothpick, just very minimal amount. Pushed it in, and they see it's perfect fit. And what I did then was, once it's dried, I came back with I got some clear Gorilla Glue, but any kind of CA glue or PVA glue would probably work, and just put a few dabs around the side just to really make sure that this is really strong, just to make sure this thing isn't going to move. Also, you can see there I've added a fishing weight, 1 ounce, which is what, 28 grams I think it is. Sorry, now I live in the US, I'm all imperial, not metric. I don't think it needs much, we'll just say any nose weight instructions, but it doesn't really in HobbyBoss kits anyway, but I just want to be safe. There's a ton of stuff going in the middle here, so it's going to be pretty well balanced, but I just like to add a little weight. Also, it gives some weight to the kit too, it makes it a little bit more beefy. So throw 1 ounce in the front, and obviously before the glue dried, I came back with the other section just to make sure it wasn't going to, make sure it fit, didn't foul, that kind of stuff. Now, spoiler alert, I dry fitted this together, and it's a very nice fit, this, without jinxing, hopefully. Now, I've not done the intakes yet, but hopefully they don't foul anything, but so far it fits really nicely. So did that part obviously, and as you can see I moved along and done the front section here. Just simple, what, 4 parts or 3 parts to get the gear bay in. Again, same thing, glued it in, then come back with some more of the Gorilla Glue, just again to make sure it's really gets in place, because the last thing I want to do is, especially the weapons bays and stuff, is to finish this model and at the very end push in some landing gear or something and push it through the inside and ruin the whole model. So just be safe here, and again adding some extra glue and stuff where needed. But again, really happy with that fit there. Put that down. Let me kind of pull out the instructions here and go and see. So we did page 1, section number 1 in part number 1. Now I've gone through part number 6 already to catch up with me. So I've gone through, as we just mentioned, I've done the 3-part, the nose gear bay. Not done a nose gear yet. We'll do that later on. We can slot that in. We don't need to do it right now. And same with the glass part here. We do it at the very end. Part number 3 is basically putting together the weapons bays, which we'll talk about in a minute. No problem at all. It's just basically 3 pieces for each one glued together. Part 4 is the main gear bays. Again, I didn't do the gear, but I have built the sub-assemblies here. And what I should mention too is, before I forget, one side of these weapons bays has a lot of detail stuff going on, so you might want to paint that before you glue it together. Now I glued it all together, and we'll paint it at the very end, which makes it a little bit more tricky. But one thing that did come to my mind is, this is a highly classified in-service jet made by a Chinese company, so I do wonder how much this detail. There's not a lot of photographs for this, so all these little details inside the weapons bays and stuff, I'm guessing they're fictitious, because I don't think China has plans in that. Well, model makers have plans for that kind of stuff, but who knows? Because it's not like they're in a museum where people just could take pictures, right, like a Spitfire or something. So I take a lot of this with a pinch of salt, these details and stuff. But you got main gear, and then through 6, you're adding all that stuff into the middle, and then it brings up to number 7, which is the intake. So let me take a pause there and kind of show you what I've been working offline. Like I mentioned in part number 1, I'm not going to show you every piece of plastic going together, because a lot of this is very simple and it doesn't require any explaining. So let me bring the main piece in, main underside piece in, and you can see I've added all this. And same thing, you just slot right in. My recommendation with this is just do a side at a time, so you don't get the wrong side mixed up. So do the left side, whatever. And then these wheel wells back here, what happens is they click. When they're perfectly in place, they'll click. So you push it in, and then push it a little bit more, and it'll click. And it means there's no gap or anything. And then again, just using my glue. For all this stuff here, I was using the Tamiya cement. It comes in a white top. I just changed the brush with the extra thin brush because it's smaller. But this is the resin-based cement glue. This isn't the extra thin. And in America and certain other countries it comes in like a hexagonal bottle. But 90% of my builds now, I use this glue. I just prefer this extra thin, because anything more than like, you know, a couple centimeters, an inch, I'll use this because it evaporates extra thin. That's good for welding and stuff, but I'm using this more and more, and last year or so I use it a lot, and I really like this kind of glue. So for bigger pieces like this, and it helps, like, almost helps like fill gaps as well, because it's kind of thick, gooey kind of glue. So I love this stuff. Use a lot of it, and that's what I use for all of this. So built all subsections, put them in, and then I use some extra thin afterwards just to kind of weld up the seams. And as I mentioned before, with the cockpit tub, exactly the same. Once it's all glued in and dried, I hit it with some clear Gorilla Glue. Again, it's on the inside, you're not going to see it, so I just splodged all around and left it overnight to dry, and this is actually the following day, so no problem at all. So these aren't going anywhere, these are really secure, and yeah, because again I was worried I'll push something here and push it through, so I wanted to be very careful. So very strong, and you can see here, absolutely beautiful detail. See that? And this is the stuff I was talking about. Maybe probably paint first before you put all the stuff together. And just run a bit of masking tape over it to cover it, I guess. These are all going to be white, all the internals here. And there you go again. It's just a shame because on the how you display this, I guess it's going to be a point, because if you need a mirror. If you put it down, you're not going to see it. As a mirror, you might see it if it's on the ground. If it's in flight, I guess the wheels are going to be up, but you can have these open. I don't see a point anywhere where it would be a flight with the wheels down and the weapons bay open. But I guess you could put it on a jaunty angle or something. But yeah, really nice. And also you see all these holes. There's tons more stuff going in here later on in terms of detail. But again, just to kind of marry these up and see there, it looks a pretty nice fit. Now, and you got some leading edges going along here, some slats, so you know, the flaps and stuff go on the back, so it'll cover up some of these seam lines. And then this guy goes in something like that, and it gives you kind of the idea of shape, looking very good. So yeah, really cool. So we're cracking along with this. That's probably just a couple of hours of work to get that done last night. So it's, like I mentioned at the very beginning, it's like really a weekend to get this thing thrown together and then just go to town with the painting and stuff. So number 7. So what we're going to do now is basically do 7 and 7, which is the intake, full length intakes, and 8, which is putting into the lower assembly, and then we're going to marry the pieces up. So that's how far we're going to go today. We'll just get basically the main assembly done, and then once the main assembly is done, we can come back next week and start painting. So horizontal stabilizers, it looks as a gimmicky thing where they kind of, before you fit them together, they fit inside and you can kind of rotate them and stuff. What we'll do is we'll check out that when we get to it and see how much movement it has. Well, to be honest, I want to paint them separately anyway. So what I'll do is I'll probably just cut it off the end and just paint them separately, and at the very end kind of slot them in. Maybe use some wire rod. I've struck my words this morning, Sunday morning. So wire rod is probably what I use. Actually, no, I won't put them in right now, because again, I want to paint them, because you've got to paint on the side, you've got to mask off and paint a different color. It's going to be way easier to paint separately. So yeah, so what we'll do is I'll start working on the intakes, getting them all painted up. Got your fan blades to paint and the internals and stuff. Getting them all assembled, we'll get it put in, and then that'll be a wrap. So enough waffling, let me go ahead and start working on the intakes. Oh, and by the way, remember these guys? So I'll do it one-handed. So, just to let you know, I'm holding these fuselage parts together. As we mentioned in part number 1, there's no problem at all painting these and leaving them off. And at the very end, you can see here, they'll just fit in, you can glue them at the very end. So you don't need to put them in like part number 1 like it mentions. Alright, intakes. So, found a little bit of an issue, first design kind of issue or complexity I found. So, first of all, built all these guys up, and again, top tip, before you cut them off the sprue, just write the number and a sharp on each one so you know which one's which, because there's a lot of cleanup here. So these are clamped together, drying. So these parts are going to be white, no problem at all. We can make them seamless the usual way, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And you got a couple of fan blades, which we can paint up steel, no problem at all. These guys on the front of the intakes, just be very careful when you cut them off the sprue. Just cut them a little bit further back and sand it because I got a little bit of damage in mine. And this kind of panel here, now it goes a certain way. You see there's round here in the front, it goes down so you can fit the intakes on. It has that bit in the bottom. So I just wrote front on here so I know which way to glue it. And then basically these are going to sit in there. So what's going to happen is, it says in instructions that you put intakes, the trunking in first, and then this goes on last. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these up the body colour, or the fuselage colour should I say, and then these pipes can be white, so you get a perfect, you don't even mask it, it'll be a perfect line. So that'll be all white. When you paint the inside of this white too, it'll get installed in the aircraft, and then these are pre-painted, we'll just stick them on like so, and we'll put foam down there, and we're good to go, no masking needed, which is nice. So, and then these guys kind of, you know, fill the back, and then no problem at all. So the front part's fine. Now it's the rear part, the exhaust, which are issue, and I'll show you why. So you've got basically the usual kind of thing of two pieces. This is the rear of the aircraft, and they attach, you know, the fan blades at the front here. Sorry, actually the back. The fan blades go on that side, facing out. So the issue is, if I open up, this fan blade right here goes in the middle, and it fits something like this, and then the top will go on. So obviously we don't need to worry about any painting in this section if you don't see it. But the problem is the fan blade is going to be steel, and we're going to paint these guys, you know, like an exhaust kind of color, or burnt iron. But here's my issue: if I can't make these seamless because I've got a fan blade in the middle. So if they design it a little differently, so this is the end, I could put them together, use my usual method, you know, filler, whatever I need to do, putty, get rid of the seams, and then put the fan blade in. But I can't do that. So what I'm going to have to do is paint these separately. So I'm going to paint them first, put in the fan blade, bang, glue them together, and that's it. That's all I can do. I can't do anything afterwards with the seam lines, because unless you could probably maybe throw some foam down and cover up the fan blade and do some stuff, but it's going to be a little tricky. So it looks a really good fit anyway. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but again, just the way it's designed, you can't take care of those seam lines in the back here very easily without, you know, risking getting paint or products all over the fan blade you've painted. So there you go. Thought I'd stop by. A ton of cleanup on these guys too. So many little nubs and stuff. Just be careful and cut them all off. I did make a mistake on one. Which one is it? I think this one I accidentally cut off the attachment points on the outside, so I had to just kind of line it up myself by eye. Whereas here you have a peg that goes into the hole on these ones. But that's it. The intakes. All right, a lot of painting ahead of me. Let me get it all primed up and start to paint on this stuff, and we'll be ready to put it into the fuselage. Alright, so I've built one side and looking good, and we'll build the other one together in a minute. Now, I will take back what I just said about the seams on this. So, I'm going to put a picture up right now. I tried to see what color it was, and if you see that picture, it's quite clearly, you can see that line down the middle, just like this, on what I have on the kit. So it does have that line down the middle of the seam, but the colors are completely wrong. So it says burnt iron, and as you can see on these pictures, it's like a ceramic kind of color. So what I did was, I bring these guys in. This is the unfinished ones. Started off, painted the front section with white. Well, actually, take a step back. Primed it, missed the surface of 1500 black to get a nice black base. Then misted on some white, not like hosed on, just misted on the white. So you see some of that black through still, so it gives like a dirty kind of look. So just usual white, and then with alclad jet exhaust. This is my favourite jet exhaust colour. Just very lightly misted on some around and get that kind of look. So you can see here, obviously we did paint them separately, put them together, so as you can see it doesn't quite match. So I just need to go back once they're joined and just spray a little bit just to kind of blend it between the two halves at the end there. So that's why we got that kind of effect, which is looking pretty good. And remember also this, I think this is visible, so this kind of I don't know what you call it, like panel where the front of the exhaust intake, sorry, front of the intake fits the tubing there. This might be visible, so I painted that white, and just again with jet exhaust kind of weathered it up a little bit, just in case you can see it. Now fan blades were all painted. with AK Extreme Metals steel. Not that you're going to be able to really see these guys. And then steel back there too on this piece. And then I just came with a simple black wash of some Abteilung oil. This isn't black, but I use black, just a little tiny drop, size of like a, I don't know, garden pea, with a little bit of enamel thinners. I made a nice little wash and just added a wash. So just, I love black washes with metals. It just makes it look pretty cool. And if you look down here, it kind of looks, see that? It looks like a pretty good effect. So it almost looks like my reference picture where you have those fan blade colors kind of mingled with the darker colors. So it actually looks pretty good. So again, steel with a black wash. So what we're going to do is let's just go throw this one together. And again, remember I've numbered all the halves, so I know which, put a part number on each, so I know exactly which goes where, that kind of stuff. So first of all, just going to throw in a fan blade. That just slots right in. You don't really need any glue for that, to be honest with you. Then I'm using my Tamiya cement, not extra thin cement. Remember, this is a thicker one, and also it doesn't really damage the paintwork like extra thin does. It's pretty good with paint. And then I'm just going to run down a bead of glue down each side. This is a really good fit. This one is better fit than the other one. And there you go. If there's any slight gaps on like this one down the side, you're not going to see it because it's going to be inside the aircraft, which is dark. So that's going to kind of help with that too. So I'm just going to peg it. Closed pegs, Amazon plastic pegs, work great. And just peg it together, let the glue dry. And you know what, we can go ahead and add the back section on too actually. So, and simple as that. And that is it. So I'm going to let these dry up and then we'll get them into the fuselage. Okay, so we've got the intakes in. Again, really nice fit actually. Just make sure this all goes together. Recommend probably using super glue just to make sure it sticks so it doesn't all fall apart and get wobbly and stuff. So put the back end in. I added a little bit of, I primed it black and then I came back with some jet exhaust. That was it, to blend it all in the back here, and did on the other side too. So just about managing your build, right? Just take care of stuff so it makes it easier. So paint it all around there, then put the intake in, blend it all in. So when the time comes to paint the overall color, we can just throw some foam down there or some masking tape, and it makes it a little bit easier with painting. As always with this inside, once it's in place, I glued it with the Gorilla Glue again, just to make sure the thing's secure and around all the joints everywhere. And I've had this bottle about 2 years, and it's still sticky, and it's a really good bottle design. And it, yeah, really like this glue. So again, around all the main kind of areas, chuck down this stuff just to get extra strength and yeah, that kind of stuff. It's important right here, these guys kind of click into place too at the front, and this side here wasn't quite there. I had to kind of force it a little bit, but no problem at all. I didn't glue the sides here because I want a little bit of a few mils wiggle room, because when we come to put the fuselage halves together, I might need to manipulate this a little bit. So that's kind of where we're at. So all that's in, looking really good actually in the light. See that? And then down here you're not going to see anything at all. And then, yeah, we also got the front intakes to go on as well. So I'm a little bit stopped with this. I can't put two sides together because the front part of the intakes, I need to paint the body color, and I don't have that paint yet. So when I get a couple of days, I'll paint those up, then we can stick them in, and then we can start sandwiching the whole thing together. But the power of editing, you'll see that in a couple of seconds here. Other things to note is the stabilizers, as always, with my Sharpie, mark on left and right, so I know which one's which. And it kind of sits in place there, and when you sandwich the fuselage, you can rotate it. That's a little gimmicky for me. I'm not going to move them around, and it's easier to mask and paint these separately. So I'm going to paint these separately and cut the end off here, and we've got more enough kind of plastic rods sticking out, but it'd be easy just to super glue these in place at the very end. Super glue them in the position I want, and it'll be good to go. Went through and did the flaps, no problem at all. Two pieces. Just when you're sanding these down, be careful. There's some raised ejection pin marks, might kind of foul up the fit a little bit. Just sand those back, no problem at all, and got perfect finishes. And again, marked up with Sharpie which one's which, so I can tell, you know, when we come to assembly. And some point in time, I'm guessing, you know, it goes in something like that, I guess. But again, we'll do those later. So the 4 flaps, we've done those, and we're making good progress. So I'm going to let this dry off, give it 24 hours. I'm in no big rush because I'm waiting for that paint. and then once the paint arrives, I paint those intakes, and we'll come right back with a pair of editing, and we'll see this thing kind of getting buttoned up. Alright, so we're together, and a few little problems we'll talk about, but front end went in beautifully, no problem at all. And I just kind of worked my way through, so I did the wing here, just clamped it, and I'll put a few pictures up, you can kind of see how I clamped it and the area I did. So I glued part of the time, like with any fuselage, take your time, and the more time you take and the better you get lined up, the less standing and issues you have down the road getting together. So looking like a Raptor, and looking pretty cool. Also you should note here, keen-eyed reviewer knows from previously, I had, there's two options. You can have them kind of, these are the racks for the weapons. You can have it like raised, so it's like lowered, should I say, out of the belly, or you can have it like flush inside, you know, housed. Now I had them on the up position, and I changed my mind. I wanted them kind of concealed inside, so I took them all out and redid it with the different brackets, so that it kind of lowered and in place into the weapons bay. So here's the problem. I had a problem getting this side together. There's definitely something fouling it. I had like a mill gap. I had to use a little super glue and really kick it to really get it together. And before I put this whole thing together, I took the old intakes here and just did a dry fit. And I thought, you know, they slide right in, no problem at all, and fit perfectly. We'll just add them afterwards. The instructions say to glue them on and then you plug the fuselage. But me being me, I thought I'd do it a little bit different. I thought it might be easier just to kind of put these over as a cap and call it a day. Now the problem is, well, firstly, obviously need it painted, but this side isn't so bad. I mean, a little bit of brute strength, I can probably manipulate that and get it, you know, maybe a little bit of filler needed and stuff, but get it in there, not a problem. This side I can mill out for some reason. I can't figure out why, but if I put this in, just hold like that, you can see the difference, which that's not acceptable. But if I really manhandle it and squeeze the thing and push it in and, you know, tweak it and stuff, I can get it into not a bad, like you see I've got a bit of a gap, but that's not bad to fill it. I can get it kind of close. So that's probably what I'm going to have to do, just manipulate. See, I put all my strength in here, so I'm going to have to use a little super glue and kicker to get that to bind, because it's just not quite lining up. So, lessons learned, don't do it like me. Get these in first, and then you can get the fuselage to match up to it. Don't try out these intakes in after like I did, because I got some issues now trying to get this in. But if I really kind of just manipulate this and really squeeze the plastic and what have you, I think I can get it to a reasonable spot. And yeah, be a little bit, kind of really push it in, and hopefully I can get it to a stage where I can sand it back and it won't look too bad. I can fix it, salvage the build at least. So that's where I'm at. So yeah, again, show you the instructions. Seeing, add these there first, and then the whole section you bring down and attach it. No problem at all. I said I didn't do that, and that's why I messed up. So I don't think there's any way. I mean, I guess I could unstick this and try to get it in there, but I mean it's going to be a lot of work. So I think I can just manhandle it. I'm still waiting for my paints. So once I get these painted up, I'll get them in there, and hopefully we can get the reasonable shape with these intakes and move on from there. Ta-da! It's together. What a nightmare. Now, I will say fully that it's probably my fault, the intakes. I didn't follow the instructions, so I'm not blaming the kid on this one. It's probably my bad. So, yeah, I should have followed instructions, but I didn't, and I thought I could slot the intakes on afterwards, and it just didn't work out. So I'd love to know when somebody builds this, if they build it proper way, if they have any problems with intakes, because I think mine was all self-enforced. So I'm not going to blame the kit for this. It's my error. But we got them on with some super glue and some kicker, and then some filler, and just blended it in, wet sanded, and blended those guys in, which don't look, from the outside, look pretty good. I mean, once it's primed, it'll look good. So I obviously painted the insides. The only problem is to get them on it, to do a little sanding and stuff. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but some gaps down there now. It doesn't fit flush. You're only going to see it if you look down the intakes. I mean, if it's on a table or desk or shelf, whatever, you're not going to see it. Just if you look at a certain angle, like hold it up and look down, you see that gap now from what I had to do to get these things to fit. Now, two things. I can just leave it as is, which I probably will, because I'm not going to pick it up, enter this in the competition, or pick it up and look down the intakes, and I think on the thing it'll look fine. Or the second plan is just to get some plastic card, cut out, paint it red, and stick down here some fog covers. And you're not even going to see down there. So, I don't know what you guys think, but comments below. Should we do fog covers, or should we just leave it as is? I'm not sure how. This is obviously a mil or two gap. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera there. But it does bug me. But again, you know, normally you're not going to see it unless you hold it up and look down it. But had to do what I did, had to do what I can to get this thing put together, right? There's no other way I could have done it. We are together, so there we go. So, very dusty from all sanding. So, that's it. So, got through it, and next week we will do the painting, which is super excited about. I got all the paints and ready to go see how these paint combinations look. So it'll be a lot more exciting next week. I also got a mask set because I'm lazy and I don't want to mask up all the splodges and stuff. And yeah, cool. So thank you for watching. As always, a bit of a long video today. A lot of things to talk through to get the thing put together. Hopefully you found it interesting, and excuse me for my ineptitude of getting the intakes messed up. But I'll be back next time with part number 3. Thank you and goodbye.